In this year's goals video, I said I'm setting a goal to make $50,000 income in a year. And I actually happened to set that goal last year as well in 2020 for 2021. So in this video, I kind of want to do two things. I want to share with you, number one, how I actually go about setting that goal so that I can hopefully successfully make that dollar amount. And it's not just a wish and a dream, but it's actually action steps that I take towards actually getting there. And secondly, I'm going to share how much I made last year in 2021 at the end of this video and actually tell you how much I make as an indie author. And technically this is my 5th year being a self-published author. Well, I published at the very tail end of December 2017. So 4 years and 1 month pretty much. Just like the last video I did on my income specifically from books in 2021, I'm going to be using this spreadsheet right here, which is my business taxes. It's just something I set up in Google Docs. This is 2022. I'll be showing you 2021, which is all filled in. And I also should point out that I have a Excel spreadsheet version of this that looks like this, which is for sale on my website and is also available to my patrons in the resource library. So you can get it either of those places if you want to just get an easy download and use it and support me while you use this. And this is how I used to do my basic taxes, but I started breaking it down by category like you see here. And that really helped me to see which things are most effective and how to actually figure out how to get to 50K by making a real plan, which I will show you, I promise, in a minute. First, let me walk you through my categories because that's kind of important, right? Like every author makes money from different things, so I can't just assume you know what these are. Well, I hope you know what books are. And if you missed it, again, I did this video about my book income specifically from books. That comes from, I think, 6 different places. So in this category, after I figured it all out on this tab right here, where, you know, it comes from Amazon, Ingram Spark, Drafted Digital, my website sales, Audible, and other places, then I plug all of that, the total number for each month, into this column here. After that, I have Patreon, which I've mentioned already in this video. That is a place where people can support me as an author just out of the goodness of their heart. And then in return, I like to provide things like my resource library and a place where writers can connect with each other and fun things like that. And then we have the YouTube column, which I assume you know about since you're here. The affiliate column covers a few different things. If you scroll down through the description of my video, you'll see, I think it's 3 or 4 things that I'm an affiliate for. My merch store, which most of you probably know of as well, where you can get things like this phone case here that I love. And then there's the course column, which is brand new to 2022. And actually I had 1 month in 2021 in December, and I will talk more about that in the near future. I'm editing this video now, and I'm so slow that now I'm able to announce that this course is actually going live on February 7th, so I can finally tell you guys what it is. It is a self-publishing course, The Secrets to Self-Publishing. I'm super excited about it. I got to do this with Jessica Brody, the author of Save the Cat Writes a Novel, one of my favorite writing craft books. If you've been on this channel like more than 2 seconds, you've probably heard me talk about it. So I will definitely link the course below if you want to know more about it and check it out. But I just wanted to put a little shout out in here because it's officially something I'm allowed to talk about now. Okay, back to the video. And then there is this website column. Now, you guys saw in my last video when I did the book income that the book income does have a website column. So I separate these. I should really color code this different, but when it's this right here at the top, it says it's book income. Then this website column means specifically signed copies and nothing else from my website. And then in the income by category page, I count that here, and then everything else on my website that's sold goes in this column right here. So I separate them. This is referring to digital downloads, like for example, this tax document right here that you guys can get if you're interested, and then that gives me a little extra bit of income there, and I appreciate it. And then we have another column because there's always random things that come in, even just little things like cash back from the bank and things like that. Okay, first of all, I did change the color at the top so you can tell them apart. Then I also obviously blacked out this section so that you don't see it right away, so that I can show you this pretty graph. And I got this idea from a couple other YouTubers, my friend Mandy Lynn, and then I also watched Kate's Book Date, and they both did graphs, so it took me a while to figure this out. But I really liked it, and I wanted to show you guys the breakdown of the different things because I think it's really cool to see. So again, you saw my bookish income broken down right here. That was in that previous video that I will link link below about specifically how much money I made from books. Then there's also Patreon right here at 30.3%. YouTube is the next biggest one at 22.9%. And everything else is pretty small. Let's see here. We have the course is next at 7.1%. And that income is hopefully just beginning. And we'll see what happens in 2022. And then the affiliate income is 7.2%. And that's like a conglomerate of a bunch of different places, which is really cool. And then there's a couple tiny other ones. Here we have the merch, which was again brand new in 2021. So I would like to do more with that, but we'll see what happens. That's 1.1%. And then the website, just the digital products, not the signed copies, is at 0.5% total. All right, so the first step in reaching a goal like 50,000, which is a huge goal, is actually breaking it down into smaller, more manageable goals. I know it's basic, but for example, if you break that down into 12 months and how much you need to make per month, it's a little over $4,000. And then if you break that down even more into how much I need to make per week, it's about $1,000 a week. That way you can actually see as you go through the year if you're on track and if you're falling behind, or if you're ahead, which is really, really valuable. The second step is to look at where you're currently at and then where you want to be and figure out how big that gap is. So for example, in 2020, when I first made this goal for 2021, I was at roughly $2,000 to $2,500 a month income average, which meant that I had roughly a gap of $1,500 to $2,000 that I needed to add each month to make my goal. So to fill in that gap, the third step is to ask really hard questions for each of your income sources to figure out which ones are the most effective, which ones could you maybe increase some things to make them even more effective, and which things maybe you could step back from because it's a waste of time. And let me pause here and say that one of the most important things that I've learned as an indie author is that you cannot continue to add. You have to also take things away because you're not a robot, you're not a computer. You can't just expand your day to 26 hours or 27, 28, or, if we're going with magical things, 40 plus hours in one day. It's not realistic. So keep in mind that whenever you're adding new things that are going to take time, you do also have to let something go. If you don't intentionally let it go, you will end up being forced to let it go. All right, so it sounds good, but let's see it in action. Let's look at my spreadsheet here and use books for an example because you have seen my bookish income report again if you looked at that with me in that last video. So here are some of the hard questions that I ask myself as I evaluate them. Number one, what is the hourly rate that I am making when I do this particular thing? Books are passive, so it's not the best example. Let's use something else like YouTube, where I put in a very specific amount of time and I can see the results pretty much in real time for that. I will take how much money I made in that month divided by how many hours I worked on the project that month to get a sense of how much money I'm making per hour. It's actually not that hard if you're tracking your time, but if you're like me and you don't know exactly, you can also kind of guesstimate. Other things like merch or the course or definitely affiliate income is passive. And you guys have seen this video about all my different passive income. If not, I'll link it below for after this video. But those kind of things are awesome because then it's not really a by hour payment, it's a has it made its money back situation. All of this leads to the next question, which is applicable to absolutely every category, is there a place to increase here and increase the income? Or is the income decreasing and maybe it's not worth it? And another hard question that I like to tag on is if you do think there's potential for it to increase, what is your deadline for figuring that out? Because some people will just chase it on and on and on and on. And a year later, they'll look at their income and they'll go, wow, I've spent more than I've made. I've been in this boat. Actually, I've done things like this. And so it can be wise to set a deadline and ask, when will I decide if this is profitable or not? For something that takes a lot of time and investment, it might be, I'm going to give it 4 years to see if writing books is going to work out, or for something like YouTube. And then for other projects that might be smaller, like maybe merch, I'm going to give it 4 months and I'm going to invest my time and energy into promoting and see where it goes. My fourth hard question, and this is one that I talked a lot about with a couple author friends last year when we kind of came up with it together, is the Marie Kondo question. Does this bring you joy? Because that does matter. And like, for example, with books, maybe you decide, okay, so it's not bringing me as much much profit as this other area of my career, so I need to invest more time there, but I'm still going to give myself this much time out of each week or each month, whatever, to the books, because I do believe that they will be profitable, you know, at that 4-year mark. And then I also do believe that they're worth my time for my mental health, because they bring me joy and they help me be more creative in the other aspects of my career, which is also very important. Once you have gathered all of this data for each of your income categories, whether you have 1 or 10 or 20 or 2, I don't know, it doesn't matter. You're going to go through each category and gather this data. So the fifth, I think it's the fifth and final step, once I've done these calculations and I've kind of just asked myself all these hard questions, is then actually taking out a calendar and figuring out which things I can actually do. Because again, you only have so much time. And the biggest thing that I've struggled with as an indie author is trying to do like 10 times as much as is humanly possible. And so I try to actually figure out when I have time to do these things, because am I going to promote 10 things at once? No. But can I do one thing at a time and do it really well? Yes, that's way more effective. Putting those smaller reachable goals and specific action steps that you've created for yourself into a calendar can help you to actually reach your big income goal. For me, 50K in a year. That is how I set up and plan to reach 50K. And actually, I would like to reach more than that this year, but that's, you know, we'll see what happens. Now it's finally time. As promised, I'm gonna show you guys on my spreadsheet here. I'm about to reveal this total column right here at the end, where it will show you how much money I made in 2021. Are you ready? $41,141.35. Wait, what? That's not 50K. I know, I know. And actually, I was on track to launch the course in September and October. Things happened that came up that derailed that, and it hasn't happened yet. So if things go as expected with the course, and I hope that they do, I was absolutely on track to make 50K this year. But here's the one takeaway that I want you to get from this video, is if I had set a goal for 25,000 or 30,000 instead, I would have quit. I would have honestly been way more lazy. I would have been like, I've made it, I'm good to go. And so shooting high helped me get a lot further than I would have been. This is like amazing to me. Just FYI, in case you are in a different part of the world, I know, for example, in like San Francisco and New York, the pay is like way higher. But in Minnesota, where I am right now, I just want you to know that this is actually more money than I made at my last full-time job before I was laid off 5 years ago. I guess things might have changed a little bit in 5 years, but this is roughly just slightly more than what I was making at that full-time job, where I had a really great job as an administrative assistant for a research team of about 60 people. And I was really very thankful for that job. That was a really good job for me at that time. So to know that I actually have managed to take my personal business and go past that, not a whole lot yet, but hopefully soon I will go even further, that is really encouraging and inspiring to me. So I hope that you are also encouraged and inspired by this. That's my goal for this video. Let me know if you were by giving it a thumbs up. And if you're interested, I am thinking about doing a video soon where I share my total bookish income, specifically from books as an indie author, total throughout my career so far, which is roughly 4 years and a month of being published. And then my total book sales, like how many books I've sold since I began selling books. So if you're interested in that, I hope you'll subscribe, because that will be coming soon. And definitely ring the bell if you want to be notified, because I'm not really on a schedule right now since I have a baby and I don't know when the next video will be coming out. But I hope that you enjoyed this and were inspired and motivated, and I will talk to you guys again very soon. Bye!
It started out like a movie scene. Something